My wife walked out on me and our 2 kids for a man she met at her gym, an ex-convict with 3 felonies and a history of violence. My name is Franklin Stewart, and I'm 45 years old. You're probably thinking I fell apart, right? That I begged her to stay, maybe even cried? No. The second Sheila told me she was leaving for Dominic McGuire, something cold and clear clicked into place. I didn't break down. I got strategic. I documented every missed visit, every reckless choice, every piece of evidence that proved she'd chosen excitement over her own children. 6 months later, she showed up at my door with bruises on her face, expecting me to be her safety net. I wasn't. This story is for anyone who's been betrayed by someone they trusted. I'm going to show you that refusing to reward people who destroy your family isn't cruelty. It's protecting what matters most. But let me start from the beginning. Before I go any further, let me know in the comments where in the world you are watching from, and make sure to subscribe, because tomorrow I will share a story you don't want to miss. I was 45 years old, married for 16 years, and I thought I had it all figured out. That Tuesday evening, I pulled into the driveway around 6:30, same as I did every weekday. I grabbed my briefcase from the passenger seat and walked into the house I'd been paying for since we bought it 12 years ago. The kids were upstairs. I could hear Tyler's music through his bedroom door, and Emma's voice talking to herself while she worked through her math homework. Normal. Everything felt normal until I walked into the kitchen and saw Sheila standing there with her arms crossed, wearing an expression I'd never seen on her face before. Hard. Determined. Like she'd already made a decision and was just waiting to announce it. "We need to talk," she said. I set my briefcase down on the counter. "Okay, what's going on?" "I'm leaving you, Franklin." Just like that. No preamble, no cushioning. I stared at her, and instead of the panic or heartbreak you'd expect, I felt this strange calm wash over me, like my brain just shifted into a different gear. "Leaving me?" I repeated. "For what reason?" "I've met someone. Someone who makes me feel alive again. Someone who doesn't just see me as a mother and a wife." I nodded slowly. "Someone? Does this someone have a name?" "Dominic. Dominic McGuire." "And before you start judging—" "McGuire," I interrupted. "The guy you mentioned from your gym? The one with the tattoos and the motorcycle?" Her jaw tightened. "Yes, and I don't care what you think about him. The ex-convict," I continued, my voice dropping lower. "The one who did 3 years for assault and drug possession. That Dominic McGuire." "He's changed," she snapped. "He's not that person anymore. He's been clean for 2 years, and he treats me like I matter." I actually laughed. It just came out of me. "He treats you like you matter. That's rich, Sheila. Meanwhile, I've been busting my ass for 16 years to give you and our kids everything you need. And apparently, that means I don't see you? You don't understand?" "No, I understand perfectly." I cut her off, stepping closer. "You're bored. You're having some kind of midlife crisis, and instead of being an adult and talking to me about it, you're throwing away our marriage and our family for some criminal who's probably grooming you for his next con." Her face flushed red. "Don't you dare talk about him like that. Dominic has been through things you couldn't imagine. He's real. He's raw. He's not some corporate drone who comes home exhausted and checks out in front of the TV." "Corporate drone," I repeated, my voice hardening. "That corporate drone paid for this house. That corporate drone pays for Tyler's braces and Emma's dance classes. That corporate drone made sure you could spend the last 11 years not working while you found yourself." "I knew you'd throw that in my face," she shouted. "I knew you'd weaponize every single thing you've done, like you're some kind of martyr." "Weaponize?" I stepped even closer, and I saw her flinch slightly. "Good. Sheila, I'm not weaponizing anything. I'm stating facts. And here's another fact. If you walk out that door to be with this guy, you're not just leaving me. You're abandoning Tyler and Emma. and I will make absolutely certain they know who made that choice. I'm not abandoning them. I'll still be their mother. A mother who chose a convict over her own children. I interrupted. How do you think that's going to play in court? Because make no mistake, we are going to court, and I'm going to pursue full custody with every resource I have. Her eyes widened. You can't do that. Watch me, I said coldly. You want to leave? Fine. Leave. But you don't get to destroy this family, and then pretend you're still entitled to play mom whenever it's convenient for you. You're making a choice right now, and choices have consequences. You're being cruel, she whispered. No, Sheila, I'm being clear. You walk out for this guy, and you lose everything. I will fight you for custody. I will make sure everyone knows what you did. Your parents, your friends, everyone at that gym you love so much. They'll all know you abandoned your family for an ex-convict. I love him, she screamed, tears running down her face now. I love him, and I'm going to be with him whether you like it or not. Then go, I said, my voice dropping to barely above a whisper. But when this blows up in your face, and it will, don't come crawling back. Because I promise you, Sheila, that door will be locked. She grabbed her purse and her keys, her hands shaking. You're going to regret this, Franklin. You're going to regret pushing me away. No, I said. I'm going to regret wasting 16 years on someone who could throw it all away this easily. Now get out of my house. She left. Just walked out. I stood there in the kitchen for maybe 30 seconds, letting the adrenaline drain out of me, and then I heard footsteps on the stairs. Tyler appeared in the doorway, his face pale. Dad, was that Mom? Where did she go? And that's when it hit me. Not grief, but pure, focused determination. I had 2 kids to protect now, and their mother had just shown me exactly who she really was. Wednesday morning hit me like a slap of cold water. I woke up at 6, earlier than usual, and for about 3 seconds, I forgot what had happened. Then it all came rushing back. Sheila standing in the kitchen, her voice hard and final, the sound of the front door closing behind her. I got up and made breakfast. Pancakes, because Tyler and Emma both liked them, and because I needed to do something normal. Something that said life was going to continue, even if their mother had just walked out. They came down at 7:30, both quiet. Emma's eyes were red. Tyler looked like he hadn't slept. Is Mom coming back? Emma asked, her voice small. I set a plate in front of her. No, sweetie, she's not. Why? Tyler asked. What did we do? That question hit me harder than anything Sheila had said the night before. I sat down across from them and made sure they were both looking at me. You didn't do anything wrong, I said. Nothing. Your mom made a choice to leave, and that choice had nothing to do with you. You're both loved. You're both safe, and I'm going to make sure you stay that way. Do you understand me? Emma nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. Tyler's jaw was tight, trying to be tough. We're going to be okay, I said. I promise you that. After I got them off to school, Tyler catching the bus, me driving Emma to middle school, I called in sick to work again. I had more important things to handle. I pulled up Brent Anderson's number. We'd worked together on some contract negotiations for my company about 2 years back, and he'd always struck me as sharp and no-nonsense. Franklin, he answered on the second ring. What's going on? My wife left me yesterday for a man with a violent criminal record. I need to file for divorce and I need full custody of my kids. How soon can you see me? There was barely a pause. Come to my office at 2 o'clock. Bring everything you have, financial records, communication, anything relevant. The rest of the morning, I gathered ammunition. I pulled bank statements going back 3 years, showing every deposit was my paycheck. I printed out text messages from the last 6 months, where Sheila had been increasingly dismissive and distant. Short replies, canceled plans, the slow drift away from her own family. Then I looked up Dominic McGuire, Public records don't lie. 3 felony convictions: assault with a deadly weapon, drug possession with intent to distribute, and breaking and entering. 2 misdemeanors for disorderly conduct. And buried in there, a restraining order filed by an ex-girlfriend named Rachel Torres 5 years ago. I printed every single page. At 2 o'clock, I walked into Brent's office carrying a folder that could have doubled as a phone book. He took one look at it and raised his eyebrows. "You've been busy," he said. "I don't do anything halfway." I laid it all out for him. The abandonment, the timeline, the financial reality that I'd supported the entire family while Sheila stayed home. And then I showed him Dominic's record. Brent read through everything with the kind of focus I recognized from my own work. Methodical, thorough, missing nothing. When he finished, he looked up at me. "This is pretty clear-cut," he said. "She abandoned the marital home and her children to pursue a relationship with a man who has a documented history of violence. Any judge is going to look at this and see a mother who prioritized her own desires over her children's welfare." "What can we do?" I asked. "We file for divorce on grounds of abandonment. We pursue full custody with supervised visitation for, given her choice of partner and his criminal history. We can argue that unsupervised time with the children puts them at risk. The judge will likely agree, at least until she can demonstrate real stability." "Do it," I said. "All of it. I don't care what it costs." "Understood. I'll have the initial filing ready by Friday." Over the next 2 weeks, I became a different version of myself. I established routines with Tyler and Emma. Breakfast together every morning, homework check every evening, Friday movie nights. I documented everything in a notebook Brent had told me to keep. What we ate, what we did, how the kids were handling things. Sheila called. A lot. Crying, begging to talk. I refused every time. "Call my lawyer," I'd say, and hang up. Tyler started asking fewer questions. Emma still cried sometimes at night, but less. We were finding our rhythm. Then, 2 weeks after Sheila left, my phone rang at work. Tyler's name on the screen. He never called during school hours. "Dad," he said, his voice tight with fear. "Mom's here. She brought that guy with her. He tried to come inside, but I locked the door." "What do I do?" My entire body went cold. "Stay inside," I said, already grabbing my keys. "Lock all the doors. I'm calling the police right now, and I'm on my way." I left work without telling anyone, dialing 911 as I ran to my car. I pulled into my driveway to find 2 police cruisers parked on the street, their lights off, but their presence unmistakable. 2 officers stood on my front lawn talking to Sheila and Dominic. Through the living room window, I could see Tyler and Emma pressed against the glass, watching. I grabbed the folder from my passenger seat, the one with Dominic's criminal record I'd printed weeks ago and kept in my car for exactly this kind of situation. Call it paranoia or preparation. I call it being ready. I got out of my car and walked toward the officers with measured steps. One of them, a stocky guy in his 40s with a name tag that read Officer Briggs, turned to me. "Are you the homeowner?" he asked. "I am. Franklin Stewart. This is my house. Your wife says she has a right to see her children." "My soon-to-be ex-wife," I corrected calmly. "She voluntarily left the marital home 2 weeks ago to pursue a relationship with him." I nodded toward Dominic. "She does not have permission to be here. And she certainly doesn't have permission to bring someone with a violent criminal history onto my property, where my children are present." Sheila's face flushed red. "Franklin, don't—" "Ma'am." The second officer, a younger woman named Officer Patricia Walsh, held up a hand. "Let him finish." I opened the folder and handed it to Officer Briggs. "This is Dominic McGuire's public criminal record. 3 felony convictions, including assault with a deadly weapon, 2 misdemeanors, and a restraining order filed by a former girlfriend 5 years ago for domestic violence." Officer Briggs looked through the pages, his expression hardening. He glanced at Dominic, then at Sheila. "I have full physical custody of my children pending our divorce proceedings," I continued. My attorney filed the paperwork last week. My wife left voluntarily and has made no attempt to arrange proper visitation through legal channels. Instead, she shows up at my home with a violent felon and attempts to gain entry while I'm not here, terrifying my 14-year-old son and 11-year-old daughter. "That's not what happened," Sheila protested. "I just wanted to see my babies." "Through a locked door that my son had the good sense to keep closed," I said, my voice still calm but carrying an edge now. "After this man tried to enter my home." Dominic finally spoke up, his voice rough. "I didn't try to enter anything. The door was locked, so I knocked. And when my son said no, what did you do?" I asked him directly. Dominic's jaw clenched. He didn't answer. Officer Briggs closed the folder and handed it back to me. He turned to Sheila. "Ma'am, you need to leave. If you want visitation with your children, you need to go through the proper legal channels." "This is insane!" Sheila's voice cracked. "Franklin, please, they're my kids." "They're our kids," I corrected. "And you made a choice about where your priorities were. Now you need to live with that choice." "Sir," Officer Walsh said to Dominic, "I suggest you get back in your vehicle." Dominic glared at me, and for a second I thought he might try something stupid. But he wasn't that dumb. Not with two cops standing right there. He turned and walked to his motorcycle, which was parked on the street. Sheila stood there, her face pale, looking between me and the officers. "Franklin, this isn't fair." "Leave," I said, "or they'll arrest you for trespassing." Officer Briggs nodded. "That's correct, ma'am. You need to go now." She left, got into some beat-up sedan I didn't recognize, and followed Dominic down the street. I watched them disappear around the corner. "You okay, sir?" Officer Walsh asked. "I'm fine. Thank you for responding so quickly." "Your son handled himself well," Officer Briggs said. "Smart kid." "He is." After the officers left, I went inside. Tyler and Emma rushed to me, and I pulled them both into a hug. "You did exactly right, buddy," I told Tyler. "Exactly right." "I was scared," Emma whispered against my chest. "I know. But you're safe now. You're always safe with me." We sat down in the living room, and I had the conversation I'd been dreading. I explained that their mother loved them, but she was making bad choices right now. Choices that hurt people. Choices that had consequences. I promised them that no matter what happened, I would protect them. I would keep them safe. And I would make sure nobody, not Sheila, not Dominic, not anyone, would hurt them or scare them like that again. That evening, after Tyler and Emma were in bed, I called Brent. "She showed up at the house with the boyfriend," I said. "Tried to get inside while I was at work. Tyler locked the door and called me. Police responded. Did you get their names?" "Officers Briggs and Walsh. I gave them Dominic's record. They ordered Sheila to leave and told her to pursue legal visitation." "Perfect," Brent said. "I'll file an emergency motion tomorrow restricting her access and documenting this incident. This is exactly the kind of behavior that's going to bury her in court." Over the following weeks, something changed in me. This wasn't just about divorce anymore. This wasn't just about splitting assets and figuring out custody schedules. This was war, and I was going to win it. 1 month after Sheila left, I sat in Brent's office reviewing the divorce petition and custody filing. The documents were thick, comprehensive, devastating. Every piece of evidence I'd gathered. Every incident documented. Every single thing Sheila had done wrong laid out in legal language. Brent pushed the papers across the desk. "Once you sign these, there's no going back. We're asking for full legal and physical custody, supervised visitation only, and we're documenting every single reason why she's unfit." I picked up the pen. "Any hesitation?" Brent asked. I signed without hesitation. None. 6 weeks after Sheila left, I sat at my kitchen table with a spreadsheet open on my laptop. Numbers don't lie, and I'd become obsessed with making sure every single detail was recorded. Missed phone calls from Sheila. 17. Scheduled supervised visitations. 8. Visitations Sheila actually attended. 4. Dollars I'd spent on Tyler and Emma's needs while Sheila contributed nothing. 4,147. I added another line item, new winter coats for both kids, 187, and saved the file. Then I updated the backup copy on my flash drive. Then I emailed it to myself. You think I'm paranoid? Maybe. But I'd learned that being thorough meant being protected. My phone buzzed. Brent. Hey, I answered. Just reviewed the documentation you sent over last night, he said. Franklin, I've been practicing family law for 23 years, and I've never seen a client track evidence this meticulously. This is gold. I'm just making sure we have everything we need. You're building an airtight case. Keep doing exactly what you're doing. After we hung up, I stared at my spreadsheet for another minute. The numbers told a story. Sheila had abandoned her responsibilities. I was handling everything: school lunches, doctor appointments, helping with homework, driving Emma to dance class, getting Tyler to soccer practice, everything. And I was documenting every single bit of it. But I needed more. I needed to know what Sheila's life actually looked like now. What kind of environment she was living in. What kind of person Dominic really was when there weren't police officers around. I made another call. Nancy Ricketts answered on the second ring. Ricketts, Investigations. Ms. Ricketts, my name is Franklin Stewart. I got your name from my attorney, Brent Anderson. I need someone to document my ex-wife's living situation. Custody case? Yes. Come by my office tomorrow at 2. Bring whatever information you have on the subject. Nancy's office was in a strip mall between a tax preparation service and a nail salon. She was in her 50s, former cop, no-nonsense demeanor. I liked her immediately. I laid out everything I knew about Sheila and Dominic, the address of their apartment, Dominic's work schedule, or lack of one, the times Sheila was supposed to have visitation. Nancy took notes, barely looking up. What exactly do you want me to find? I want to know if my children would be safe there. I want documentation of their lifestyle. I want evidence that proves she's not capable of providing a stable environment. She met my eyes. That's honest. Most parents tell me they want what's best for the kids, but really, they just want revenge. I want both, I said. But the kids come first. Good. This'll take a few weeks. I charge $150 an hour plus expenses, whatever it takes. 3 weeks later, Nancy called me at work. I've got what you need. Can you come by this afternoon? I rearranged my schedule and drove to her office. She had a folder on her desk, 2 inches thick. Your wife picked a real winner, Nancy said, sliding the folder across to me. I opened it. The first few pages were photos. The apartment building looked like something out of a crime documentary. Peeling paint, broken windows, trash in the parking lot. There were close-ups of Sheila and Dominic entering and leaving. They're in Unit 2C, Nancy said. Ground floor, west side. Neighbors on both sides filed noise complaints in the last month. Management hasn't done anything because half the building is the same way. I flipped to the next section. Police reports. 2 domestic disturbance calls to that address in 3 weeks. No arrests made, but the responding officers noted verbal altercation and possible physical altercation in their reports. No arrests? I asked. Sheila wouldn't press charges. Classic pattern with domestic violence situations. She's scared of him, or she thinks she can fix him, or both. Next section. Witness statements. Nancy had talked to 3 neighbors. All of them reported frequent screaming arguments late at night. One mentioned seeing Sheila with a black eye 2 weeks ago. Dominic's employment status? I asked. Nancy snorted. He does under-the-table work, which means he's probably doing something illegal. I couldn't confirm that, but I watched him meet with known drug dealers twice. Could be he's using, could be he's dealing. Either way, it's not a job you put on a resume. The last section was financial documentation. utility bills in Sheila's name because Dominic's credit was destroyed, late payment notices, an eviction warning from 2 months ago that had apparently been resolved, probably with money Sheila got from somewhere. I closed the folder. My hands were steady, but inside I felt that cold fury building again. "This is bad news," Nancy said. "Your wife's in over her head with this guy. He's violent, he's unstable, and she's trapped." "Thank you," I said. "Send me your final invoice." I drove straight to Brent's office. He whistled low when he looked through Nancy's folder. "We're filing a motion to terminate unsupervised visitation immediately. With this evidence, we can require all visits to happen at an approved supervised facility only." "Do it," I said. 2 days later, we were in court again. The motion hearing was brief. Brent presented Nancy's evidence methodically. Photos, police reports, witness statements, everything. Judge Robinson reviewed each page carefully. Sheila's attorney, some overworked public defender, tried to argue that Sheila had a right to privacy in her personal life. Judge Robinson looked over her reading glasses at him. "Not when that personal life includes exposing children to a violent criminal in an unsafe environment." She ruled in our favor. All visitation with Sheila would now be supervised only, at an approved facility, with a professional monitor present. Sheila left the courtroom in tears. Dominic slammed the courtroom doors so hard the bailiff shouted after him. I left calmly, Brent beside me. "That's 2 victories," he said. "It's not over yet," I replied. That evening, my phone rang. Sheila. I almost didn't answer, but I wanted to hear what she had to say. "You're trying to take my kids away from me," she screamed before I could even say hello. "No, Sheila," I said calmly. "You gave them away when you chose Dominic. I'm just making sure they're safe while you figure out your life." "I hate you." "I don't care," I said, and hung up. 4 months after Sheila left, I woke on a Saturday morning to the sound of Tyler and Emma laughing in the kitchen. Actually laughing. Not the forced kind they'd been doing those first few weeks. Real, genuine laughter. I pulled on a t-shirt and headed downstairs. They were making pancakes together, Emma standing on the step stool we'd gotten her, Tyler manning the griddle like he'd been doing it his whole life. "Dad," Emma said when she saw me. "Look, I flipped one and it didn't break." "That's because I taught her the wrist technique," Tyler said, grinning. I poured myself coffee and leaned against the counter, watching them. And that's when it hit me. They were thriving. Not just surviving, not just getting through it. They were actually happy. "How many do you want?" Tyler asked. "2's good." Life had genuinely improved, and I know how that sounds. Your wife abandons you and the kids, and suddenly everything's better. But it was true. Tyler's grades had gone from B's to straight A's. When I'd asked him about it, he'd shrugged and said, "I don't know, Dad. I guess I was stressed before." The house always felt tense, you know? Like we were all walking on eggshells around Mom. That had hurt to hear, but it also explained a lot. Emma had opened up more too. We'd developed this ritual of cooking dinner together every night. She'd stand on her stool at the counter, and we'd chop vegetables or mix ingredients, and she'd tell me about her day. Everything. The good stuff, the hard stuff, the confusing stuff. Sometimes I wondered if she'd ever talked to Sheila like that, or if she'd kept it all bottled up. And then there was Vanessa. I'd met her at the gym 3 months ago. Ironically, the same chain where Sheila had met Dominic, though I'd switched to a location across town. Vanessa was a teacher, 5th grade, divorced, no kids. We'd started talking one day when she'd asked if I was using the bench press next. Coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into more dinners. She was steady, calm. She didn't play games or manufacture drama. She asked about Tyler and Emma before she asked about me, which told me everything I needed to know about her priorities. I'd introduced her to the kids after 2 months. Tyler had been polite but cautious. Emma had been curious, but Vanessa didn't try too hard. She didn't swoop in attempting to be their mother or their best friend. She was just there, present, kind. I like her, Emma had told me after Vanessa's third visit. She's normal. Normal. What a compliment that was. Work had improved too. I'd gotten promoted to senior operations manager with a significant raise. My boss had called me into her office and said, "Franklin, you've been carrying this department for years. It's time we recognize that." I'd used part of the raise to take Tyler and Emma on a weekend trip to an amusement park 2 hours away. We'd ridden roller coasters until we were dizzy, eaten terrible carnival food, and stayed in a hotel with a pool. It was the first real vacation we'd taken in years. That Saturday night, as I'd tucked Emma into bed in the hotel room, she'd hugged me tight and whispered, "I'm glad it's just us now, Dad." I'd had to step out onto the balcony after that, because I didn't want her to see me cry. We'd moved forward. Really, truly moved forward. Late September, Saturday morning. Exactly 6 months after Sheila left. I was making coffee, Tyler and Emma still asleep upstairs, when there was a knock at the door. I set down my mug and walked over, expecting maybe a package delivery or a neighbor. I opened the door and froze. Sheila stood there. She looked terrible. There was a yellowish bruise around her left eye, the kind that had been deep purple a week ago. Her lip was split and swollen. She'd lost weight, but not in a healthy way. She looked gaunt, hollowed out. Her clothes hung off her. My stomach dropped. "Franklin," she said, her voice breaking, "please, can we talk?" I heard movement behind me. Tyler, standing at the top of the stairs, watching. This moment would stay with him forever. I knew that. Whatever happened next, he'd remember it. So I made a choice. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. She stood on my porch looking like she hadn't slept in days. The bruises were fresh enough that they hadn't fully turned that sickly yellow-green yet. Dark purple still ringed her eye socket. "What happened to your face?" I asked, though I already knew. "Dominic and we had a fight. It got out of hand." She paused, then added quickly, "It was my fault." "Stop," I interrupted, my voice sharp. "Don't do that. Don't make excuses for him. He hit you. That's what he does. It's what guys like him have always done, and it's what he'll keep doing." Tears started streaming down her face. "I made a mistake, Franklin. A huge mistake. I should never have left. I want to come home. I want to fix this." And there it was. The moment she'd rehearsed on the drive over, probably. She was broken, defeated, ready to crawl back to safety. "No," I said simply. She blinked. "What?" "No. You can't come home. This isn't your home anymore, Sheila. You gave that up." "But I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know I hurt you and the kids, but I can make it right." "Make it right?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You think saying sorry fixes abandoning your children? You think a few bruises from your convict boyfriend erases 4 months of putting him before your own kids? I know I was wrong. You knew you were wrong the day you left," I said, my voice hard as iron. "You knew it when you brought him to my house and scared Tyler and Emma. You knew it every time you skipped your visitation because you were too busy with Dominic. You don't get to come back now that it's convenient for you." "Please," she sobbed. "I have nowhere else to go. My parents won't talk to me. My friends all think I'm crazy. I need help." "Then go to a women's shelter," I said. "Go to a therapist. Go literally anywhere else, because you are not coming back here." "Franklin!" "No." I stepped closer, and she actually flinched. "You made your choice, Sheila. You chose excitement over stability. You chose a criminal over your children. And now that it blew up in your face exactly like I said it would, you want me to be your safety net? Absolutely not." "I'm their mother," she whispered. "Then you should have acted like it." My voice could have cut glass. A mother doesn't abandon her kids for a man she barely knows. A mother doesn't miss half her scheduled visitations. A mother doesn't show up at her children's home with a violent felon and traumatize them. You stopped being their mother the second you walked out that door 6 months ago. She was crying so hard she could barely breathe. Please, Franklin, please. I'll do anything. Do you want to know what the kids said when you didn't show up for visitation last month? I asked. Emma said, I guess Mom's busy again. Tyler didn't say anything. He just went to his room. They've learned not to count on you, Sheila. That's what you taught them. I can change. I don't care if you change, I said flatly. That's not my problem anymore. You want help? Get it. You want to turn your life around? Do it. But you're not doing it here. And you're not using my kids as your motivation to become a better person. They deserve better than a mother who only wants them back because her backup plan failed. She stood there shaking, mascara running down her face, looking like the wreck she'd become. I felt nothing. No sympathy. No guilt. Just cold satisfaction that she was finally facing consequences. Go, I said, and don't come back here again. If you want to see Tyler and Emma, you go through your lawyer and you follow the court order. That's it. I watched her walk away down the driveway, broken and defeated. Her shoulders shook with sobs as she got into her car. Not Dominic's motorcycle, I noticed. She'd driven herself. I went back inside. Tyler was still standing at the top of the stairs, his face unreadable. She's gone, I said simply. He nodded once and went back to his room. I thought that was the end of it. 3 days later, Brent called. We've got a problem, he said. Sheila hired a new lawyer, Victor Clarkson. He specializes in helping mothers regain custody, and he's good at what he does. My jaw tightened. What kind of problem? He filed an emergency motion claiming you've been alienating the children against their mother. He's arguing that Sheila's relationship with Dominic has ended. She's seeking therapy and employment, and she deserves another chance. The hearing's in 2 weeks. I sat in Brent's office 2 days later, gripping the arms of the chair hard enough that my knuckles went white. He'd just finished explaining Victor Clarkson's strategy, and my jaw felt like it might crack from how tightly I was clenching it. I thought this was over, I said. I thought we had this locked down. So did I, Brent admitted. He leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. But Clarkson's good at what he does. He specializes in making mothers look sympathetic, and he knows exactly which emotional buttons to push. He's going to paint Sheila as a woman who made one mistake, learned from it, and deserves a chance to be a mother to her children again. One mistake, I repeated. She abandoned them for 6 months. She skipped half her visitations. She brought a violent criminal to my house and terrified Tyler. I know that. You know that. But Clarkson's going to argue that she's changed. That ending her relationship with Dominic proves she's prioritizing the kids now. That she's in therapy and getting her life together. Brent met my eyes. And sometimes, Franklin, judges are sympathetic to mothers, even when they shouldn't be. We need to be prepared for that possibility. My stomach turned to ice. You're saying we might lose. I'm saying we need to present everything perfectly. No emotion, just facts, documentation, evidence. He tapped the folder on his desk. We have a strong case, but we can't take anything for granted. Over the next 2 weeks, I became obsessed. I reorganized all the documentation into chronological order, cross-referenced every date and expense. I coordinated with Nancy to make sure she was ready to testify about what she'd found at Dominic's apartment. I practiced my testimony in the mirror, keeping my voice steady and emotionless. I barely slept. When I did, I had nightmares about Judge Robinson awarding Sheila custody, while Tyler and Emma screamed for me. The hearing was on a Tuesday morning. I sat at the table next to Brent, watching Sheila enter the courtroom. She wore a conservative navy dress, minimal makeup, her hair pulled back simply. She looked nothing like the broken woman who'd shown up at my door 3 weeks ago. She looked like a mother, a victim, someone who deserved sympathy. I hated how good she looked. Victor Clarkson called her to the stand first. She sat there with her hands folded, answering his questions in a soft, trembling voice. "Miss Stewart, can you tell the court why you're here today? I want to be a mother to my children again," she said, her voice breaking. "I made a terrible mistake. The worst mistake of my life. I left my family for someone I thought I loved, and I was so wrong." "Have you ended that relationship?" "Yes, completely. I haven't spoken to Dominic in over a month. You know why she hasn't spoken to him?" I thought. "Because he beat the hell out of her." "What steps have you taken to improve your situation?" Clarkson asked. "I enrolled in therapy sessions twice a week. I'm taking classes to get my real estate license so I can support myself. I've been attending all my supervised visitations consistently for the past month." She looked directly at Judge Robinson, tears streaming down her face. "I miss my babies every single day. Tyler and Emma are my whole world, and I'm asking for a chance to prove I can be the mother they deserve." She was convincing. I'll give her that. I watched two of the courthouse staff exchange sympathetic looks. Then it was my turn. Brent called me to the stand, and I presented everything methodically. The timeline of abandonment, the spreadsheet showing 4 missed visitations out of 8, the police reports from Dominic's apartment, Nancy's investigation documenting his lack of employment, and the domestic disturbances. Then I pulled out the photos, the ones I'd taken of Sheila's face when she showed up at my door 3 weeks ago. The bruises, the split lip. "These were taken September 23rd, I said, my voice steady. 3 weeks ago. Sheila came to my house claiming she'd made a mistake and wanted to come home. That was 1 month after her last supervised visitation, which she actually attended. I looked directly at Judge Robinson. "Your Honor, my ex-wife didn't leave because she was unhappy. She left because she wanted to play house with a violent criminal. She only wants to come back now because that didn't work out. My children deserve better than a mother who treats them like a backup plan." The courtroom was silent. Judge Robinson studied both of us for what felt like an eternity. Her expression gave nothing away. "I'm going to take this under advisement," she said finally. "I'll issue my ruling within 1 week." The gavel came down. I left that courthouse feeling like I'd been gut-punched. Despite everything I'd done right, every piece of evidence I'd gathered, every moment I'd documented, the judge might still side with Sheila, and if that happened, I didn't know what I'd do. The week waiting for Judge Robinson's decision was the longest of my life. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Every time my phone rang, my heart jumped. Tyler and Emma could tell something was wrong, but I tried to keep things normal for them. We maintained our routines: breakfast together, homework checks, dinner cooking, Saturday pancakes. Vanessa came over Wednesday evening and found me staring at the same spreadsheet I'd been staring at for an hour. "Hey," she said gently, sitting down next to me, "you're going to make yourself sick. I can't let her win, Vanessa. I can't let her waltz back into their lives after everything she did. You've done everything right, Franklin. You have to trust that the system will see that. But I'd heard too many stories about good fathers getting screwed in family court. I couldn't trust anything." Friday afternoon, I was in a budget review meeting when my phone buzzed. Caller ID: Brent Anderson. My heart stopped. I excused myself and stepped into the hallway, my hand shaking as I answered. "Brent, we won," he said. "Complete victory. I actually had to lean against the wall." "What?" Judge Robinson's written decision just came through. Franklin, she ripped Sheila apart. I'm reading directly from the ruling here. The mother's pattern of abandonment, poor judgment in romantic partners, and continued instability demonstrates a clear disregard for her children's welfare. The father has proven himself to be the stable, consistent parent, and it would not be in the children's best interest to disrupt their current living arrangement. I slid down the wall until I was sitting on the floor, phone pressed to my ear. "You got full legal and physical custody," Brent continued. Sheila gets supervised visitation twice a month. That's it. And it's contingent on her completing parenting classes and documenting 6 months of actual stability. Oh, and the judge ordered her to pay you child support based on imputed income. I sat there in the hallway outside the conference room, and I felt something release in my chest that I'd been holding tight for 6 months. My eyes burned, but I didn't cry. I just breathed. Franklin? You there? Yeah, I managed. Thank you, Brent. Seriously, thank you. You did this, Franklin. You protected your kids. You documented everything. You kept them stable. You did what good fathers do. The judge saw that. After we hung up, I sat there for another minute, staring at nothing. Then I stood up, straightened my tie, and went back to my desk. I had a celebration dinner to plan. That evening, I took Tyler and Emma to Moretti's, their favorite Italian place. I didn't explain all the legal details. They didn't need to hear about custody orders and supervised visitation schedules. I just told them things were settled. We were staying together, and everything was going to be okay. Tyler ordered the chicken parmesan. Emma got spaghetti and meatballs. I watched them laugh about something that happened at school, watched Emma steal a breadstick off Tyler's plate while he pretended not to notice, and I realized I'd given them exactly what they needed. Stability. Safety. A parent who showed up. Do you know what that feels like? To know you got it right when everything was trying to pull you under? We got home around 8. Tyler went upstairs to finish homework. Emma curled up on the couch with a book. I was cleaning up the kitchen when my phone rang. Sheila. I almost didn't answer. Then I thought about the judge's ruling sitting in Brent's office, legally binding, and I picked up. How could you do this to me? She screamed before I could say hello. How could you take my children away from me? I leaned against the counter, completely calm. I didn't take them away, Sheila. You gave them away. The judge just made it official. I was trying to change. I was trying to be better. You were trying to save face after your criminal boyfriend beat you up, I corrected. There's a difference, and the judge saw right through it. I'll appeal, she said, her voice breaking. I'll fight this. Go ahead, I interrupted. Spend whatever money you have left, fighting a battle you've already lost. Or you could accept reality, complete your parenting classes, prove you're actually stable, and maybe, you'll get to have a real relationship with Tyler and Emma someday. But that's entirely up to you. Silence on the other end. I could hear her breathing, ragged and wet. Then, in a small voice that actually sounded genuine, do they hate me? I could have twisted the knife, could have said yes, could have told her they never wanted to see her again. But I thought about Tyler and Emma upstairs, and I remembered that despite everything, she was still their mother. They're confused and hurt, I said quietly. 6 months after Judge Robinson's ruling, I woke up on a Saturday morning with Vanessa beside me. She was still asleep, dark hair spilled across the pillow, breathing soft and steady. I lay there for a moment, just appreciating how far we'd come. Vanessa had moved in 3 months ago. We talked about it extensively, not just between us, but with Tyler and Emma too. I wasn't going to make any decisions about our household without their input. When I asked them how they'd feel about Vanessa living with us, Emma had lit up immediately. Tyler had been more measured, but he'd nodded and said, "Yeah, Dad. That'd be good." Life had transformed completely. Tyler made honor roll and was talking about colleges now. Actual conversations about SAT prep and campus visits. Emma had just performed a solo at her dance recital the week before, and she'd nailed every single move. I'd gotten another promotion at work, senior operations director this time, with a raise that made me blink twice at the offer letter. And Vanessa and I had been talking about marriage. I had a ring picked out already. I was planning to propose next month, somewhere simple. Maybe the park where we'd had our first real date. Sheila had completed her parenting classes. She was working at a call center now, 2 jobs actually, trying to keep up with the child support payments. She'd moved to a better apartment on the east side. Dominic was completely out of the picture. Last I heard, he'd violated parole and was back in prison for assault. Different victim that time. Sheila saw Tyler and Emma twice a month at the supervised visitation center. When I asked the kids how it went, they always said the same thing. It was okay. Not great, not terrible. Just okay. They were cordial with her, but the damage had been done. They knew who'd been there when it mattered. 2 weeks ago, I ran into Sheila at Miller's Market. I was doing the weekly grocery run. Cart half full with the stuff Tyler and Emma had requested. The good cereal, the ingredients for Emma's favorite stir-fry, energy drinks Tyler swore he needed for studying. I turned down aisle 7 and there she was, standing in front of the pasta section, looking tired but cleaner than she had in months. We both froze for a second. Then I nodded. "Sheila. Franklin." She managed a tight smile. "How are you?" "Good. We're good." Awkward silence. She gestured at my cart. "Looks like you're feeding an army." "Just the usual weekend shopping." "The kids look happy," she said quietly. "In the photos you send." "They are happy." She nodded, then looked down at her hands. "I heard you're seeing someone." "That teacher." Of course she'd heard. "Small town, mutual acquaintances." "I am. Her name's Vanessa. And yes, the kids have met her. They like her." Sheila's eyes filled with tears. "I really did love you, Franklin. I know you don't believe that, but I did." I noticed she used past tense. I set my hand on the cart handle and looked at her directly. "No, Sheila, I don't think you loved me. I think you loved the idea of something different, something exciting. And when that turned out to be a nightmare, you wanted to come back to safety. But love doesn't work that way." "I know," she whispered. "I know that now." "Good," I said. "Maybe next time you'll remember that before you blow up your life." I walked away from her there in aisle 7, my cart full of groceries for my family. I didn't look back. I heard her make a small sound behind me, maybe a sob, but I kept walking toward the checkout. That image stayed with me for days afterward. Me moving forward with a cart full of life. Her standing alone in an aisle surrounded by choices she'd already made. The rest of that Saturday was perfect. Vanessa made pancakes while Tyler and Emma argued about what movie we'd watch that night. I sat at the kitchen table with my coffee, watching my family. And yeah, that's what we were now, a family. And I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. They say the best revenge is living well, and whoever they are got it absolutely right. Tyler's a sophomore in high school now, 16 years old and already talking about college visits. He's interested in engineering, maybe mechanical or civil. Last week he asked me about visiting some campuses during spring break. Georgia Tech, Clemson, maybe NC State. We sat at the kitchen table with his guidance counselor's recommendations spread out in front of us, and I watched him make notes with the same methodical focus I'd used to document his mother's abandonment. That's my kid. Smart, driven, practical. Emma just started middle school and has decided she wants to be a veterinarian. She volunteers at the animal shelter every Saturday morning, and she's taking advanced science classes even though they're kicking her butt. She tells me about dissecting frogs and learning about cellular biology, and her eyes light up the same way they did when she nailed that dance solo years ago. That's my daughter. Compassionate, determined, fearless. Vanessa and I got married last spring. Nothing fancy. We went to the courthouse on a Tuesday morning. Tyler and Emma were our witnesses. Tyler wore his debate team blazer, and Emma wore her favorite yellow dress. The judge was a woman named Barbara Thornton, probably mid-60s, who'd been doing civil ceremonies for 30 years. She smiled at us like she knew we'd make it. The whole thing took maybe 15 minutes. When Judge Thornton said, "You may kiss your bride," Emma giggled, and Tyler rolled his eyes, but he was grinning. Afterward, we went to Giovanni's Pizza, the the place with the checkered tablecloths and the arcade games in the corner. We got 2 large pizzas, 1 pepperoni, 1 supreme, and breadsticks. Emma played skee-ball while Tyler and I talked about his upcoming soccer tournament. Vanessa sat next to me with her hand in mine, and when I looked at my family sitting in that booth, I realized something. This was perfect. This was enough. You ever have a moment where you understand exactly how far you've come? That was mine. Sheila completed her supervised visitation requirements about 8 months after the court ruling. She graduated to unsupervised visits, every other weekend if the kids wanted to go. They usually find excuses not to. Tyler's got soccer tournaments or study groups. Emma's got dance rehearsals or projects due. They're not cruel about it. They're just busy. They have lives that don't revolve around their mother's guilt or her need for redemption. Maybe once a month, one of them will go spend an afternoon with her. They come home and tell me it was fine. Sometimes Sheila takes them to lunch. Sometimes they watch a movie at her apartment. They're cordial, polite even, but the closeness is gone. That's the consequence Sheila lives with every single day. Not hatred, not anger, just distance. Last I heard, Sheila's working 2 jobs to keep up with the child support payments, mornings at the call center, evenings waitressing at some chain restaurant out by the interstate. Her parents eventually forgave her, but I've seen them exactly twice in the last year, both times at Emma's school events. They're polite to me, grateful even. They know what their daughter did. Sheila dates occasionally, nothing serious. Most of her old friends moved on. They've got their own families, their own lives. You can't disappear into chaos for 6 months and expect people to just hold space for you. And me? I sleep like a baby every night. Straight through, 7 hours, wake up refreshed. 0 regrets about how I handled everything. None. Not the documentation, not the legal warfare, not turning Sheila away when she showed up broken and desperate on my doorstep. Sheila made her choice, and I made damn sure she lived with every consequence. My kids are thriving. My career's stronger than it's ever been. I just got tapped to lead a regional expansion project. And I have a partner who actually shows up, who makes pancakes on Saturday mornings, and helps Emma with her science homework, and asks Tyler about his college plans, like she genuinely cares. Because she does care. That's the difference. Some people might say I was too harsh, that everyone deserves a second chance, that I should have been more forgiving, more understanding. To those people, I say this: second chances are earned, not given. The best thing I ever did for Tyler and Emma was show them that actions have real consequences, that you don't reward people who hurt you, that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is refuse to be someone's safety net when they've set themselves on fire. Sheila wanted excitement. She wanted to feel alive. She wanted something raw and dangerous and completely different from the boring, stable life I'd built for us. She got it, just not the kind she'd hoped for. And I got my peace, my family, my life. That's justice. That's revenge. And honestly, it feels damn good. I believe stories such as this find us for a reason. If this one touches you, please subscribe. I share a new one every day. In the meantime, there are 2 stories on the screen that are even better.